Hey, it's Eric, and this is a quick demo on how to get started using SlideMatch. If you have not already gone and created an account on SlidematchStart.com, then go sign up and then download the SlideMatch application from the main page on SlidematchStart.com, and then we can get started. So when you first launch SlideMatch, the app, you're going to see an initial login screen that looks a lot like this. And this is because in order to communicate with servers, SlideMatch app needs to log on. So enter your login information again. In this case, I'm going to use this demo account I just created. And choose whichever start mode you feel is what you most likely will use. If you're usually start with songs, then start with songs. If you're usually into videos or movies or books, then start with one of those. In this case, I'm going to start with books because there's a lot of people out there rating books, and they're fairly simple to do. And then we'll move on and cover songs. So I'm going to set my default to be startup in book mode. Click OK. And here we are. SlideMatch is saying that there are no books found. And that makes sense because I haven't entered any yet. So let's go ahead and enter a book. I'm going to hit this Add Import button up here. And it's going to prompt me for book information, basic identification information. So I'm going to, in this case, I'm going to rate a book called Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman, which I think is one of my all-time favorite books. And the author in this case is Richard P. Feynman. It's an autobiography. If I want to, I read this back in the 1980s. The book's been released a few times, so I'm not going to bother to fill in a year, nor am I going to bother to fill in an ISBN number. If you want to fill these in to your own information, you can. Minimally, you need a title and author to identify a book. So that's what I'm going to go with. Now, my overall rating for this book, really, it's like a 4-star book for me. Maybe it's not the best thing I've ever read, but in any case, it's pretty up there. And that's, so far, pretty straightforward. The new thing about SlideMatch is this characterization, these sliders on the left here. And I'm going to fill these out. You can get more information about these sliders by just sort of like hovering over them, and it'll give you a little description about what they're about. But just to give you a feel for it, I'm going to rate this book based on, my impressions of it. So my impression is that this is a young adult audience. It's a fairly factual book. It's somewhat, there's a lot of events described and things, but I think it's fairly character-oriented. Emotional response for me is, it's a pretty benign book. I'm going to put it mild. There's a couple of things in there, might raise an eyebrow or two, but, it's pretty easy. And concentration, I'm going to say this was it's an interesting book. I don't think it was, it's certainly not fluff. You can put it down and pick it up again, but you can also pretty much read it cover to cover, and there's some things in there that I found really interesting. So I'm going to rate it as interesting. So that's it. At a minimum, that's all it takes to rate a book. I'm going to show you a couple of other things on here just to kind of fill it out and get you familiar with the features. If I didn't own this book, I could click the wish list button here, and that would add it to my wish list, and then I can hope that somebody would buy it for me in the future. There's also, I can put in a comment if I want, so I can write any amount of text I want about this. I'm going to write a very quick comment that just says, Richard Feynman, genius. He really was. And you can write a long comment in here, whatever you want to put in. And I'm going to also show you what's in this More Info tab here, which allows you to, like if you really want to fill in like a few more details about this book, like for example, if you wanted to add tags to help your search later, like I might tag this, for example, as an autobiography, add whatever tags you want. And if this book relates to another book or even to a movie or a song or anything like that, then you could add a relationship tying those items together, and that's what this button does. Attributes are sort of additional descriptions about the book. So, for example, you can do things like additional author, publisher, go ahead and add like an additional author. There's one of the additional authors on this was, I believe, Ralph Layton. So you go ahead and add that. And that's about it. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I'm done. A couple other buttons on here just to sort of give you a quick overview. If I wanted to immediately email or post to Facebook about the fact that I just finished reading this book, I could clear the share button here, and that would take me to the site, and I can fill in a little more detail about it and let everyone know. This button here takes me to my site profile page, which would now contain the grand total of one book. This is a recommendation button on SlideMatch. If you go and find friends, then you can click this button to get recommendations for your friends for additional books that you might be interested in. This button takes you to the settings screen that we started out with. The info button here again takes you to slidematch.com and shows you more information about this book, including average ratings between you and your friends. And this feeds button here allows you to post things on a more regular basis, like for example your top 2 books for the month or what have you. That's about it. That's all it takes to rate a book. And for rating movies or rating videos, it's a very similar process. And music is a little bit different, so I'm going to go ahead and show you that. Again, we don't have any songs loaded yet, so I'm going to click the import button. Now, the first difference you'll see with music is that I have an additional option to read a file or directory. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click this to import all the music that I've got on my computer. So this defaults to your iTunes area, and I'm actually going to import this subdirectory here called Mixable, where I've got all my mixable music. And I go ahead and choose that. And SlideMatch will go ahead and start processing all my imports, which can, in my case, I have several thousand songs, numerous thousand songs. So this is probably going to take quite a while. So I'm going to pause the video slightly, and we'll come back when this is finished loading. Okay, we're back, and this is another difference when you're rating music, and that is that it gives you the opportunity to download community ratings. And this is kind of what your friends and like the entire SlideMatch, like all users, what we've figured out the slider should be. So it actually saves you a bunch of slider settings if you want to pull down community ratings. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. And you'll see that in the status bar up here, it says that it's retrieving community ratings for all my unrated stuff. And at this point, SlideMatch has also started things up, and we're now playing music. So you can see that we're retrieving community defaults in the background, and well, I don't know if you can hear, but we've got music going on. And I'll show you, it's got iTunes launched, and we're up and running. So a couple of things that are worth noticing. The first is that these file values here, like title, artist, album, year, these went editable because the MP3 information was read by iTunes into here. And so, when you save, it'll have the information from the MP3 file associated with it. The other thing you'll notice is that these sliders over here got moved to be set to whatever their default ratings were. So at this point, if I want to, all I really got to do is rate the particular song that I'm listening to, and I kind of really like this one. So this is going to the 4.5 star range, and that's it. I can just listen to my music. This is my playlist as it's going to go along, and I can get rid of some of these and add more and whatever. SlideMatch will automatically pull through your music collection, and you just rate things as you go. And you don't have to click save because as it goes to the next song, it will save the previous one automatically. So that's mostly about it for rating stuff. A couple of more buttons, additional buttons for music. Most notably, there's like the pause button and skip button. These do what you'd expect. The skip button also has an additional bit of functionality in that it will bump up this recommendation cycle over here. And the recommendation cycle basically says how often you're allowed to play something. So by default, I can play this song like every 4 hours. If I decide that, I really only want to hear this song like, no more frequently than once a day, then I can bump this up. And if I skip the song, it will bump it up automatically. So that's just kind of a nice feature. It keeps you from overplaying your music. That's about all it takes to rate things. I think I'm going to, in the interest of time, I'm going to save some of the other cool things that you can do in terms of retrieval and getting stuff out of SlideMatch for the next demo. So thanks, and enjoy using.